A busy morning. We're following the developments out of San Bernardino, California. Joining the conversation right now is Fox News national security analyst KT McFarland. KT, the FBI still will not call this terrorism. We are waiting to find any evidence that is it, in fact. But based on what you know and what we know, obviously, they had tactical gear on. Right. They had these long guns. They had GoPro cameras on. What can you tell us?
Sounds like terrorism to me, but our authorities are doing the right and responsible thing to gather all the information and then talk about it. A couple of things have struck me, though, in the last couple of hours. One, is this the new normal? Whether it's domestic terrorism, whether it's Islamic extremist terrorism, if this is the new normal, we don't have nearly enough resources for this. It takes 24 government people, in other words, state, local, FBI, NSA, to monitor a bad guy 24/7. Now, the FBI director said we have 100 of these people we're looking at now 24/7. We potentially have 1,000 in the United States right now. We are already stressed to the limit with our resources. It's not just the FBI, but the entire resource chain is stressed. So we better get really smart, really fast, and put a lot more resources immediately. The second thing is the flash-to-bang ratio. If these are domestic...
What is flash-to-bang ratio?
All right, flash-to-bang ratio, which you are all going to hear a lot about in the coming weeks, is the amount of time it takes from somebody who looks like a normal guy living down the street to become a terrorist who straps on a suicide vest or goes and shoots up a center. It's not years and years and years in the coming. It's usually weeks, months. Yeah. So somebody who looks just normal gets radicalized, and within a month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months is committing a terrorist act. Why is that happening? It becomes very difficult to find that person because it all happens very quickly. Yeah. The Snowden revelations and the reaction to that has greatly hampered our ability to find these people because we're not doing the stuff a month ago that we should be able to do. And so because the flash-to-bang ratio is so short, you need to see these people. You need to see them immediately. You need to find them. You need to prevent them. And we don't have the tools to do it. I think we need to think about a whole new paradigm of using metadata analytics and social media monitoring.
And KT, to that point about a whole new paradigm, I know you're very aware that human intelligence is your best intelligence.
Absolutely, but...
So the issue of resources, I've been trying to get a point across to our leaders. How about sending some of those resources to the local level, cop on the street? The greatest resource we have are the American people and those cops in the neighborhoods who know the who, what, when, where, why their neighborhood. What's your take on that? Well,
absolutely. You know, these are the people who are putting their lives on the line, who put on a uniform, whether they're in the United States military, whether it's our law enforcement officials, whether it's our fire departments. They are all on the line, and we have a national leadership which doesn't support them. The other thing I would say, though, is political correctness is now starting to cost us. If the political correctness is you don't want to say anything because you don't want to look like you're discriminating, you're not going to do the bad thing, so you hold back. Well, as you point out, we need the American people to be participants in our own security. And if there is an atmosphere of political correctness, don't you dare say, we need a safe zone where we can talk about these things.
In fact, that's what we saw yesterday, because a number of witnesses, Dagan, had said that they saw packages coming in and out of Farouk, the suspect's garage.
Right, and they didn't want to report it because they would be accused of racial profiling.
And think about that point. They would call about the drug dealers and the drug trafficking, but because of the racial component and the fear, they didn't make the call.
So political correctness has now become not our friend, but our enemy. The other points I would make is, if this is a Saudi Arabia connection here, you know, we know he's gone to Saudi Arabia in the last year. He somehow has quickly become radicalized.
Report that he grew his beard out when he got back.
Well, you know, look, a lot of guys are growing beards, including Paul Ryan. So I'm not worried about the beard part as much as I'm worried about. Saudi Arabia is one of the countries where it is the most oppressive, you know, intelligence operation. You're not doing anything in Saudi Arabia without being found out. This is not Syria that he's gone to. This is not Libya. If there's something going on in Saudi Arabia, then we have a much bigger problem than we thought. And then the final point I would make is, however bad we think it is now, it's going to get exponentially worse. The refugee crisis in Europe, as the refugees are given, they can now bring their family members in, and you could go from 1 million to 7 million in a year.